Hello everyone, I am Dr. Pooja Johari and I am taking the biochemistry portion with you guys. As you all of you know that the FMG exam is just one and a half month away, and the pattern of the exam has changed. So you people have to be very cautious enough to prepare for the exam. This is very important, and always keep this mindset that nothing is impossible in this world, because the pattern has now been changed to clinical based questions. If you know the subject thoroughly, then automatically you are going to solve the questions. And always remember, whenever there is a case history given, there is one word hidden in that, and you have to capture that word. The moment you capture that word, automatically the answer will be there. So today we will be discussing up with the metabolism of proteins. Now, before starting up with the questions, I will just give you a brief summary of proteins, that actually what kind of questions can be asked, or what should be your mode of preparation for the exam. This is very important. Now, all of you know, if we look at proteins, proteins as such are the polymers of amino acids. So we can say whatever amino acid is there, it is going to give that property to a particular protein, right? And what are amino acids? Amino acids are having Zwitter ion structure. This is very important. Zwitter ion means, on one hand, if they are behaving as a proton, or you can say if they are behaving as an acid, on the other hand they are going to behave as a base, or you can say they are amphoteric substances. Very important. Amphoteric means they can donate a proton. Acidic, they can accept a proton. Basic in nature. And overall, if we see, there are 20 standard amino acids, right? Now 21st and 22nd has also been discovered. 21st is selenocysteine and 22nd is pyrrolysine. But since these are one-liner questions, so obviously they cannot be asked this time. But yes, the questions can be asked on basically amino acids, because proteins, we are going to study the basic structure of proteins along with the metabolism and metabolic disorders associated to that, right? So this is the generalized structure of an amino acid, and the difference lies in the R group. So we can classify the amino acids as per their different positions on R group. Jaise there are aliphatic amino acids, like glycine is there, alanine is there, valine is there, leucine is there, lysine is there. Similarly, there are acidic amino acids, there are basic amino acids, there are hydroxyl group containing amino acids, aromatic amino acids, and amino acids. And every amino acid has altogether a different set of metabolism. So basically, we study the metabolism of proteins as per their two things. One is as per ammonia and as per the carbon, or you can say as per nitrogen skeleton and as per carbon skeleton. Right. So if we look at it, proteins are the only macromolecules which help in expelling of this toxic ammonia in the form of urea. So basically, the case histories can be asked upon the different disorders of urea cycle. For example, rate limiting enzyme of urea cycle is CPS1. Then its two two steps. This is the, you can say, pathway, a cycle which occurs in two organelles. One is the mitochondria, where first and second step occurs, and the cytosol, where third, fourth, and fifth will occur. And it leads to hyperammonemia type 1, hyperammonemia type 2, citrullinemia is there. So basically, the questions will be framed on this only. Citrullinemia is there, arginosuccinate aciduria is there, argininemia is there, and you will come across these questions also, right? So this is how you have to prepare. Then we come over to as per their carbon skeleton. If we see as per their carbon skeleton, these amino acids are classified into two. One is glucogenic amino acids. Second is ketogenic amino acids. Now see, it is clear from the word itself, ketogenic. Genic means formation. So ketogenic amino acids will be the one which leads to the formation of some keto group. It can be acetyl-CoA, it can be acetoacetyl-CoA. And glucogenic, again very important class, formation of glucose. So glucogenic amino acids will be the one which lead to the formation of glucose. Either they can be directly converted into glucose or they will be connected to some pathway, जैसे TCA cycle के साथ they are connected. Most of the intermediates, they merges themselves into citric acid cycle. Right? So the questions will be based on this. And obviously, if there is any deficiency of enzyme, if I say if a particular enzyme is deficient, it will lead to accumulation of that particular substrate in urine. So urine analysis plays a very, very important role. Again, I'll repeat this. When a particular enzyme is deficient in metabolism, it will lead to accumulation of that particular substrate. So this substrate will be diverted somewhere else. And this is actually diagnosed. And basically, clinical based questions are based on this particular topic. Urine analysis will show this. And a very important point about protein metabolism is that different, different odors of urine are there in this. I'm going to share that slide also with you. So by this, we can predict the subject is suffering from which disorder, right? So this is little bit about, the gist of protein metabolism. Now we will start up with the discussion of the questions. So let's start up with our discussion. And this is how you have to prepare also. See question number 1. A baby presents with refusal to feed, skin lesions, seizures, ketosis, the amino acids in urine with normal ammonia. Likely diagnosis is. Now see, refusal to feed, but lesion skin manifestations are there, seizures are there, but the concentration of ammonia is normal. That means there is no disorder related to this urea cycle. Now let's read the options. Propionic aciduria. Increase of propionic acid in urine is propionic aciduria. Multiple carboxylase deficiency. This carboxylase is a very, very important enzyme in a sense that carboxylation is the one which is catalyzing the addition of carbon dioxide to different substrates. Means it is adding one carbon dioxide. Yeah, it is adding one carbon to it. And always remember, this carboxylation requires biotin. Right? Or in other words, if I say, if a person is suffering from multiple carboxylase deficiency, biotin supplementation is given. Maple syrup urine disease. Maple syrup urine disease may the basic characteristic feature of this maple syrup urine disease is the urine has a odor, which is actually maple syrup, means it gives the smell of burnt sugar. Right? And urea cycle enzyme deficiency. Just now I told you if the normal ammonia is there, that means urea cycle enzyme deficiency is automatically ruled out. Now the options are left only two: propionic aciduria and multiple carboxylase deficiency. Up the most important feature which is depicting on multiple carboxylase deficiency is skin manifestations are there. This is a very important feature of multiple carboxylase deficiency. I'll give you just a chart which will be actually more clearer to you. You write all skin lesions are there, or you can say, let's start with seizures are there, vomiting is there, dehydration is there, or you can say hypoglycemia is there, right? It can lead to ketosis, increased concentration of ketone bodies. It can lead to no ketosis or mild ketosis, right? Under ketosis, we will say either skin manifestations are there. So I'll write skin lesions or skin manifestations. Right. Under skin manifestations, just now I told you multiple carboxylase deficiency will be there. Up, if we talk about ketosis, ketosis increased concentration of ketone bodies. So it can lead to either there will be a odor, particular odor, or there will be a absence of this odor. Right. So if a characteristic odor is there, the most important example of this is maple syrup urine disease. Very, very important, and questions have been asked on this. And second important is isovaleric acidemia. And if we talk about no odor, but ketosis is there, here you can say propionic aciduria will be there. Along with propionic aciduria, we can say another can be ketothiolase deficiency. Okay. If we come over to no ketosis or mild ketosis, then here the example will be acyl coenzyme A dehydrogenase deficiency and HMG CoA synthase deficiency. Right. So this is a very good slide, which is depicting major things. Again, I will repeat it. Seizures, vomiting, dehydration, and hypoglycemia are the generalized symptoms. But sometimes what happens is if ketosis is there and if no ketosis is there. If we talk about ketosis, there is increased concentration of ketone bodies. So if the urine is giving a characteristic odor or the urine is without an odor, right? And if we talk about skin manifestations, it is multiple carboxylase deficiency. And odor mein, I told you that it is forming MSUD and isovaleric acidemia. And no odor mein, propionic aciduria will be there. Now, if we look at the questions, you can see in this question, propionic aciduria is ruled out, right? All the symptoms are there. So only multiple carboxylase deficiency is there, which is actually, showing all the symptoms. That is why the answer is this. And again, I'm telling you, carboxylation requires biotin. So if the person is suffering from this multiple carboxylase deficiency, supplementation of biotin is given. I hope this question is clear to you, and this is how you have to attempt the questions. Then we come over to another question. This is a very important question, And a very simple also. A 40-year-old woman presents with progressive palmoplantar pigmentation. And X-ray examination, if we do, it shows calcification of intervertebral disc. Very, very important. So basically, it is showing calcification. Now, if we add Benedict's reagent, it gives greenish brown precipitate and blue black supernatant fluid. That means Benedict's test is positive. Right. So in this particular scenario, we have seen two important things. One is there is calcification. Calcification means a deposition is there. And second is it is giving Benedict's test positive. So what can be the diagnosis? Just give it a thought. Obviously, chalo, let's discuss these options. Options given are L-captonuria, phenylketonuria, tyrosinemia type 2, and arginosuccinic aciduria. Now, before taking up with this question, I would like to discuss the metabolism of phenylalanine, which is very, very important. Because in the starting of my lecture only, I told you the entire clinical scenario depends on the metabolism, depends upon the excretion of certain metabolites in urine, which can be detected by applying different biochemical tests. Right. So let's quickly go through the metabolism of phenylalanine. Now, all of you know that phenylalanine is a essential amino acid. Essential amino acid is the one which is obviously essential to our body and it has to be provided from outside diet. That means it cannot be synthesized in our body. So this phenylalanine undergoes hydroxylation. Hydroxylation means attachment of hydroxyl group. So the enzyme here is phenylalanine hydroxylase. And it is converted into tyrosine, which is also known as para-hydroxyphenylalanine. Right. This reaction is very important. Phenylalanine hydroxylase, basically what are its components? It consists of molecular oxygen, it consists of NADPH, and it consists of folate also. So these are the important components of phenylalanine hydroxylase. Once it forms tyrosine, this tyrosine is required for the synthesis of so many important compounds. Jaise melanin is synthesized. You can say thyroid hormones T3, T4 are synthesized by tyrosine. Epinephrine, norepinephrine are synthesized. So phenylalanine plays a very, very important role. Now, once the function of this tyrosine is over, it has to be degraded because in the starting only I mentioned that their metabolism is based as per carbon skeleton, as per nitrogen skeleton. So I'll tell you that phenylalanine is acting as both, means it is glucogenic and ketogenic. Now this we are going to see by this. Now this tyrosine undergoes, being an amino acid, undergoes transamination. I'll write the reaction here, or I'll just write the name of the enzyme here. Transaminase is the enzyme and it forms para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate. Transamination is there. So obviously you can say alpha ketoglutarate and glutamic acid will be given out. This para-hydroxyphenylpyruvate undergoes hydroxylation. Hydroxylation or hydrolase is the enzyme. And this is converted into homogenetic acid. Right. And this homogenetic acid is oxidized or it undergoes oxidation, right, to get converted into mallyl acetoacetate, right? And this mallyl acetoacetate undergoes simple isomerism is there. Malic acid and fumaric acid are actually linked as isomers. So it is going to form fumaryl acetoacetate. Now this fumaryl acetoacetate dissociates. I mean like dissociates or splits up. So the splitting enzyme here is obviously fumaryl acetoacetate hydrolase. And it splits up to form fumaric acid and acetoacetate. Right. So this is how hydrolase, and this is simple, you can say isomerase. So I'll just mark the products in these square things so it will be clear to you. Simple. Fumaric acid links to TCA. So it is a glucogenic amino acid. Acetoacetate will form acetyl coenzyme A. So it is a ketogenic amino acid. That is why in the starting only I told you phenylalanine is ketogenic as well as glucogenic. Now see what happens here is if there is deficiency of hydroxylase, if hydroxylase is deficient, it leads to phenylketonuria, right? Deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase. Then we start from this hydrolase leads to the tyrosinemia type 1, deficiency of this hydrolase, right? Or chalo, I'll just give you the name of the full enzyme. It's fumaryl acetoacetate hydrolase. It leads to tyrosinemia type 1, or it is also known as tyrosinosis. Very important again. Then tyrosinemia type 2 is due to the deficiency of transaminase, or it is also known as Richner-Hanhart syndrome, right? Deficiency of hydroxylase will lead to tyrosinemia type 3, or it is also known as neonatal tyrosinemia. And here oxidation is there, and the enzyme here is homogentisate oxidase. Deficiency of this enzyme will lead to L-captonuria. So these are the different type of, you can say, enzymes which when deficient automatically will lead to the following disorder. Let's look at the question now. What the question is saying ki there is calcification and the diagnosis is that it is giving Benedict's test positive. This is very important. So there is actually formation of this L-capton type of substance. So how can you correlate this? If there is deficiency of this enzyme, homogentisate oxidase, there is increased concentration of homogentisate. If the concentration of homogentisate increases, it has to be metabolized somewhere else. So this homogentisate will actually be converted into benzoquinone acetate, and this benzoquinone acetate will be converted into L-capton type of substances. And the urine turns black on exposure to air. When it is standing as such, urine will turn black. Why? Because there is formation of this L-capton type of substance. Pigmentation is there due to the formation of this L-capton, and this is known as ochronosis. Ochronosis occurs in the intervertebral disc. It occurs in the nose, in the ear. Pinna mein ochronosis occurs. Right? Up, why Benedict's test is positive? This question must be troubling your mind, because you all have studied that Benedict's test is positive only and only with reducing sugars. Isn't it? But here why Benedict's test is positive? Because ये जो homogeneity hai, this homogeneity is actually a reducing agent. Very, very important. And that is why we say that Benedict's test is also positive and there is typical ochronosis. Pigmentation is there due to the formation of these L-capton type of bodies. So obviously out of these four options, the correct answer is L-captonuria. This is a very important question from examination point of view. So always remember, but again, I am giving, there is a hidden hint in this question. Benedict's test positive and calcification is there. So automatically this will be the answer. If we look at other options, phenylketonuria, just now I told you, it is due to the deficiency of enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. For this, Guthrie's test is positive. Ferric chloride test is positive. That we will discuss later when other questions come, but just for your information, I'm just telling you. Similarly, tyrosinemia type 2. Tyrosinemia type 2 may you see the enzyme deficient is tyrosine transaminase or Richner-Hanhart syndrome. It has nothing to do with this. And this arginosuccinic aciduria hai, this is actually an enzyme of deficient enzyme of urea cycle. So by this question, you see that every cycle, every pathway is important. And if you are undergoing any pathway, if you are reading any pathway, the most important thing about this is you should know the enzymes. So whole biochemistry, I must say, it revolves around enzymes. And there is again a very important thing about enzymes, that you should know the spellings. This is, but most of the students commit blunder in the definition also, in the spellings also. If I say synthase is there, if I say synthetase is there is a big difference between synthase and synthetase, right? Synthase is catalyzing, simple, it is carrying out the synthesis of something. This example is citrate synthase. But when we talk about synthetase, it means it always involves ATP. For example, CPS1, it is carbamoyl phosphate synthetase 1. Right? So enzymes play a very, very important role in biochemistry. A slight, if you miss the definition of any definition or spelling of any enzyme, the whole question will go haywire. Right? So this is simple. You can say the person is suffering from L-captonuria. And the enzyme deficient is homogeneous state oxidase, as you can see here. Right? Then we move over to question number. Okay, chalo, if you look at L-captonuria, what are the clinical features? Just now I told you there is pigmentation. Pigmentation due to Elcampton type of substances in the intervertebral disc, in the nose, in the ear. If we talk about diagnosis of this, obviously, just now I told you ki how can we diagnose, right? So this is actually L-captonuria. And if we talk about treatment of this, simple. Nitisinone is given, NTBC. The reason of giving this nitisinone is because it blocks this reaction. There is decreased concentration of phenyl para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. So obviously, if there is decreased concentration of para-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, hydroxylase. So automatically, the concentration of homogeneous state will automatically decrease. Right? Then we next come over to the third question. A 9-month-old girl has had 2 seizures in the past month. Okay? And she has developed delays, her skin is fair, her hair is a lighter color than of other family members, her diapers have a musty odor. And which of the following is most likely to have an increased concentration in this infant's urine? Now see, scissors were there, right? No state mandated newborn screening, right? Her skin is fair and her hair is a lighter color than of other family members. But the most important thing about here is, now pick up 3 points. Skin is fair or fair skin. And urine has a musty odor. Right. Up now, this musty odor is actually due to what? This is again due to phenyl acetic acid. Now what happens is, I'll make it here. See, phenylalanine. I showed you in the slide that phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine. Right. Now what happens is, if this the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, isn't it? Just now I told you. Now what happens is, if this enzyme is deficient, it leads to phenylketonuria. Now what happens is, that means there will be increased concentration of phenylalanine in urine. If phenylalanine is not metabolized to tyrosine, it will be diverted somewhere else. Now see, phenylalanine. That means this phenylalanine can undergo transamination. Alanine can be converted into phenyl pyruvate, because you know alanine and pyruvic acid are actually alanine undergoes transamination to form pyruvate. So enzyme is transaminase. If phenylalanine undergoes decarboxylation, means a removal of carbon dioxide is there. Alanine, it is converted into phenyl acetate. Right. And this phenyl pyruvate can also be converted into phenyl acetate. How? Because if we see the structure of pyruvic acid, CH3, C double bond O, COOH, simple decarboxylation will be there. So CH3, COOH, it will be phenyl acetate, decarboxylase. Right. Now this phenyl acetate combines with glutamine to form phenyl acetate glutamate, which is excreted as such. So if we have to suggest the biochemical manifestations of the person suffering from phenylketonuria, what is evident from this slide? We can say there is increased concentration of phenyl pyruvate increased concentration of phenyl acetate. So this mousy odor, this musty odor is actually due to mousy or musty odor is due to the increased concentration of phenyl acetate. So the answer will be simple phenyl acetic acid. And if you look at other options, homogeneous you have seen. What happens is homogeneous state is converted into L-capton type of substance where the urine is giving black color. It is not giving this musty odor. Homocysteine is altogether different. Homocysteine is actually being converted into when it combines, homocysteine is in the metabolism of methionine and SAM. Right. And homocysteine is actually converted, utilized to synthesize cysteine in our body. Or this is an intermediate when methionine is being converted into cysteine, homocysteine is major intermediate, but it has nothing to do with this musty odor. Right. Then isovaleric acid. Isovaleric acid is actually, it is related to the metabolism of branch chain amino acids. When isovalerate dehydrogenase is absent, isovaleric acidemia is there. But again, it does not give a musty odor. This characteristic musty odor is actually due to the accumulation of phenyl acetic acid or phenyl acetate. This is a very important question. And this question has been asked in AIIMS PG also. When you are preparing for your NEET PG exam, this is a very standardized question which is asked. So I hope the explanation of this question is clear to you. Okay. Acha, if you think about fair skin, so we can say, I'll give you the hint here. Just now I told you, I'll show you this slide. I told you that this tyrosine is required for the synthesis of melanin also, isn't it? The skin pigment. So if phenylketonuria is there, this enzyme is absent. Automatically, there won't be synthesis of melanin. No melanin will be there. Right? So automatically, it is evident that it is this. Then we move over to the next question. Chalo, let's quickly go through this clinical presentation of PKU. Phenylketonuria, the affected infant is normal at birth. Profound intellectual disability is there. Vomiting, lighter complexion. Why lighter complexion? Due to decreased melanin synthesis. Sometimes the students get confused between melanin and melatonin. This melanin is synthesized from tyrosine. And this melatonin is synthesized from tryptophan. So we can say the precursors are different. Then unpleasant, mousy or musty odor. This just now I told you it is due to phenyl acetic acid. Diagnosis is ferric chloride test, you can say. Just I'll write it. Is positive. And phenylketonuria can be detected by another test, which is Guthrie's test. Right, so these are some of the important features of phenylketonuria. Then we move over to the next question. A 5-year-old boy of first degree consanguineous couple was noted to have darkened urine when it was left unstanding. So it was left standing. He has normal siblings and no other medical problem. Growth and development to date are normal. Which of the following enzyme is likely to be deficient in this patient? Just now we have discussed. What you have to see here is only one particular pathological condition is there, that he has a darkened urine, and the urine becomes dark when it is left exposed. So there is simple oxidation, right? So obviously the deficient enzyme here is homogenistic acid oxidase. Phenylalanine hydroxylase will convert phenylalanine to tyrosine. So again, there is no question of this. Tyrosinase is an enzyme in the synthesis of melanin. Right. And the disorder by this is, chalo, I'll write the name of the disorders also. Phenylalanine hydroxylase causes phenylketonuria. Tyrosinase causes albinism. And what is the third one? Fumaryl acetoacetate hydroxylase. Fumaryl acetoacetate hydroxylase will lead to tyrosinemia type 1, or it is also known as tyrosinosis. Is it clear? These are the deficient enzymes. So this question is very, very simple. And the answer will be obviously this. And these are the standard questions which can be asked. So always remember, try to search for that code word, which will tell you the entire scenario. Then we move to next question. A 4-month-old boy is brought to the physician because of a seizure, right? He is delivered at term after an uncomplicated pregnancy. The pregnancy was not complicated. Examination shows muscle weakness. His lactic acid and alanine are elevated. That means you can say serum transaminases and it is a case of lactic acidosis. A functional assay of PDH, pyruvate dehydrogenase, in serum leukocytes shows decreased enzyme activity. Supplementation of which of the following substances should be avoided? Now see, if this type of question is asked, just read it. In fact, whenever you are solving any question, just read it twice. This is very important because this is a general, feature of a student. Whenever a student is just going through the question, he will immediately see PDH and immediately he'll take thymine because thymine is required for PDH. But here the question is reverse. Here they are asking कि supplementation of which substance should be avoided. Very important. Now, before taking up with this case, I would just like to mention about what is the function of this PDH. This PDH plays a very, very important role. PDH stands for pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. And this is an example of multi-enzyme complex also. Now, what do you mean by multi-enzyme complex? Simple, it cannot work alone. So it requires 3 enzymes and 5 coenzymes to work with it. And these 5 enzymes are B1, 2, 3, 5 and folic acid, lipoic acid. I'll write it again, lipoic acid. And 3 enzymes are there which are dehydrogenase, transacetylase and you can say simple PDH. And reaction is pyruvic acid is being converted to acetyl coenzyme A. Simple, there is a loss of carbon dioxide and this process is known as oxidative because this reaction takes place in the presence of oxygen. Very important. Oxidative, since removal is there, so it is oxidative decarboxylation. And this is a irreversible reaction. Very important feature of this. Irreversible reaction. And TPP or thymine is the most important component of this reaction. Or I would say ki if thymine is not present, this pyruvic acid cannot be converted into acetyl coenzyme A. Let's put it that way. Up. Now what happens here is, if you look at the question is saying the functional assay of PDH shows decreased enzyme activity. That means this enzyme activity is decreased. So this is ruled out. We can say thymine cannot be the answer. Right? Thymine was the answer when the question would have been supplementation of which of the following substances should be provided to the patient. Here it is exactly reverse. It should be avoided. And if we look at three other options, simple. Arachidonic acid is what? It is a fat. Or you can say it is a fatty acid. Or it is an essential fatty acid. So it has nothing to do with this PDH. Isn't it? Because arachidonic acid, we take it from, in our diet, and it is automatically required for the synthesis of prostaglandins. So it has nothing to do with this decreased enzyme activity. Up. Now the question revolves around these two amino acids. Now, if we see the property of these amino acids, just now I told you that the amino acids are glucogenic and ketogenic. If we talk about ketogenic amino acid is lysine, which is a potent ketogenic amino acid, lysine and leucine. Right? And valine is a glucogenic amino acid. So if we see all the four options, the patient should be avoided to have diet rich in glucogenic amino acid. This is very important, as his PDH activity is low. So the answer here is valine. Why valine? Because valine is a glucogenic amino acid. It has to be avoided. Because it will what? It will undergo gluconeogenesis, or you can say it will undergo other process to give rise to, because when we study the metabolism of valine, we know that it is merging itself into one of the intermediates of TCA. So it has to be avoided. And arachidonic acid and lysine being a ketogenic amino acid, it has nothing to do with this PDH. So it will automatically be converted into acetyl coenzyme A. Right? So it is waiving of this reaction. If we see, it will waive off this reaction because it will be converted into this. So the option left is only and only valine. So the answer should be valine. Then we move over to the next question. A 1-year-old boy is brought to the physician for the evaluation of recurrent seizures. Examination shows coarse pale hair, inelastic pigmented skin, and a generalized muscle weakness, right? But laboratory studies revealed the decrease in ceruloplasmin levels. And decreased activity of which enzyme is most likely responsible for this patient's condition? Up again, first look at the keywords. First of all, so it is having chalo pale hair, inelastic pigmented skin. That means pigmented skin. That means we can just think कि inelastic pigmented skin is there, so the protein which is actually required for the formation of this might be absent, right? Or we can say there can be, you can say, some defect in collagen formation, isn't it? That is why generalized hypotonia is there. Up laboratory studies, what are they saying? They are saying that decreased ceruloplasmin level is there. So Decreased ceruloplasmin level clearly indicates there is something wrong with the metabolism of this copper. Very important, because copper is a cofactor for ceruloplasmin or ferrooxidase. Now, if we narrow down, if we narrow down the functions या deficiency manifestations, एक होता है deficiency of copper leads to Menkes disease. Overloading of copper leads to Wilson's disease. Isn't it? I just write it here. If there is deficiency of copper, it will lead to Menkes disease. And if there is overload of copper, it will lead to Wilson's disease. This is in general. Now here the case is what? कि simple decreased ceruloplasmin levels are there. So collagen formation, there is defect in that. If we look at all the 4 enzymes, the most appropriate enzyme for this will be lysyl oxidase. Because we know if we see the formation of collagen, collagen has 3 repeats: glycine, proline, and lysine. Right? And these proline and lysine are present in their hydroxylated forms also. जैसे hydroxyl chlorine is there and hydroxyl lysine is there. Lysine is there, proline. And this lysyl oxidase is actually required to form the cross-linking of collagen. And its deficiency will lead to Menkes disease, जिसको हम बोलते हैं kinky hair syndrome. Very important. Menkes, kinky or steely hair syndrome. The defective enzyme is lysyl oxidase. There is a deficiency of copper. Again, I am telling you, again, most of the students commit a blunder. When there is deficiency of copper, it has to be Menkes disease. And if there is overloading of copper, it is Wilson's disease. I'll write it here, Wilson's disease. Right. And if we see this Menkes disease is a X-linked recessive disorder. So it is basically present in males. And that is what the question also says, the boy. Leading to hypotonia, seizures are there. And just now I told you copper is a cofactor for ferrooxidase ceruloplasmin. Now this lysyl oxidase, basically deficiency is due to the mutation in this ATP7A gene. And Wilson's disease, there is mutation in the ATP7B gene. So there is a difference. So let's get the question again. So simple coarse pale here, inelastic pigmented skin, generalized hypotonia, and decreased ceruloplasmin levels will indicate simple lysyl oxidase, and leads to what? Menkes disease. I hope this question is clear to all of you. Then we come over to the next question. A 47, now see, don't get nervous just looking at the question. It is a very lengthy question. It's a very simple question also. So you don't have to be, scared just looking at the question. Just read the question once. A 47-year-old woman comes to the physician because of fatigue, weight loss of approximately 4.5 kgs and watery diarrhea. She has recently stopped taking spicy food and alcohol. Because if she takes alcohol and spicy food, it again worsens the situation of her diarrhea. And it leads to the palpitation of the heart, and there is redness of the face and neck. And she is already hypertensive, and she is taking lisinopril for that. Her temperature is normal. Pulse is 98 per minute, but BP is high. Abdomen is soft, but there is mild tenderness to palpitation with no guarding or rebound. Laboratory finding shows an increased urine HIAA. Now this HIAA stands for 5-hydroxy indole acetic acid. Very important. Now further evaluation of this patient will most likely show which of the following. The options are proximal muscle wasting, achlorhydria, purple red color urine, or pulmonic valve stenosis. Now see, if you look at all the four options, you can see the main, the main emphasis is generally on the laboratory findings. Because once you find some particular thing, then only you can undergo prognosis of that. So if we see this, there is increased concentration of 5-HIAA, and this 5-HIAA is related to the metabolism of tryptophan. Very simple. Right. अब ये जो tryptophan है, this is a essential amino acid. Tryptophan is a essential amino acid, and it is required. If we look at the pathway, tryptophan has two type of pathways. I'll write it here. Tryptophan undergoes two type of pathways. One is simple kynurenine pathway, and second is serotonin pathway. So basically what happens is this serotonin is a potent vasoconstrictor. It stimulates the cerebral activity. So once the function of the serotonin is over, it is degraded to form 5-HIAA in the presence of enzyme MAO. And the serotonin by two steps is converted into melatonin also. But this is actually not asked in the question, so we won't go into that much detail. The question simply says there is increased concentration of 5-HIAA. That means there is what? There is production and increased concentration of serotonin. And basically what happens is this is a clear example of carcinoid syndrome. Where there is cancer of the argentaphene cells. Very important. And that is why there is an increase in the concentration of this 5-HIAA. So obviously it is a potent vasoconstrictor. So it is stimulating the cerebral activity. So automatically it will lead to what? Pulmonic valve stenosis. If you look at further, examination, evaluation of this, it will be this. Now let's quickly go through the metabolism of tryptophan. Just now I told you that tryptophan undergoes, this is kynurenine pathway. You can see it is forming acetyl coenzyme, it is forming this. Second pathway is serotonin pathway, where tryptophan is being converted into this, forming serotonin. And you can see there is increase in the concentration of this. All the depressants, all the antidepressants which we take, they are either MAO activators or they are MAO inhibitors. So here automatically the answer will be pulmonic valve stenosis. So I think I should conclude my lecture till here. I hope whatever questions I have discussed with you, you have, gained little bit of this. This is very important, and these questions are very simple. You don't have to be panic while attempting the question. Always read the question at least twice before attempting it, because a slight blunder will automatically deduct your marks. Right? Again, I am telling you, you have to search for a keyword, then only you can, give your interpretation. So I hope the questions are clear to you, and I wish you people all the best so that you people come up with, flying colors, and you people clear the exam, which is going to be conducted in the month of December. So wishing you all the best. Take care.